Hey everybody, how's it going? Shooting another video here. I'm actually shooting several on the same day because my family's out of town on vacation and I got the house to myself and no one except a couple of cats to interrupt me. So this video is going to be stuff I picked up in the last, I guess about the last week at the two record stores in town. It actually been a while since I've been in these stores, probably over a year. Just kind of taking a break from the record stores because I've been working part-time. Moved to part-time and work to spend more time with my daughter. She moved into a different school, kind of a magnet program for advanced kids, and needed to ride to school and to ride home and to ride to her activities and help their homework and all that. But now I'm at the point where I'm ready to go back to work full-time, but I've got a few days off before I start that job. So yeah, I got the free time to shoot, and let's get into the records here. So there's two record stores in town. One is mainly used records, and the owner does a great job of getting used records from all over the place, and he's always got a great selection of jazz, but also prog rock, krautrock, electronic. He's heavy into punk. He's got a background in punk music. Actually played in a band, I think. But I love his jazz section. I could spend thousands of dollars in there easily. But first, a record that's not jazz. I've been buying mostly jazz lately, but this one was in the new arrivals, and I had to have it because I didn't already have it. And that is Fripp and Eno, No Pussyfooting. And this one's still in the shrink, I guess, original shrink. And this is an Editions EG. Assume it's a repress. This came out, let's say about 74 or something. But I used to have, when I was a teenager and I was collecting vinyl before I got rid of it all, and then restarted collecting. A lot of King Crimson type stuff, and UK, the band UK. Things related to John Wetton, things like that, on the Editions EG label, and good stuff. So yeah, that was it for my non-jazz stuff, and let's get into the jazz. First up, Blue Note, Jimmy Smith. This is A New Star, A New Sound, Jimmy Smith, Volume 1. And this is Blue Note 1512. So one of the earlier Blue Note 12-inch records before they moved to the 4000 series, I guess. Yeah, just some quality Hammond organ stuff. I mean, if you know jazz, you know Jimmy Smith, the king of the Hammond organ here. 15 bucks, reasonable price. It says on the sleeve he wrote some scuffs, original. Yeah, it does have some scuffs, but I found with these old early Blue Notes and the early Prestige with the Fireworks label, the pressings are really so good and so dynamic. The scuffs aren't usually a problem, especially with kind of some louder, funkier type jazz stuff. Probably if you're listening to some quiet piano jazz, it would make a big deal, but when you're rocking out the Hammond organ and guitar and drums and stuff, a few scuffs aren't a big thing. This is, I'm not sure if there's a first pressing, very early pressing. It's got the 47 West 63rd address on the label. Totally flat profile, the label area, and the outside edges aren't raised. I think RCA was the first to introduce the raised edges on the outside, so when you played records on Record Changer and they fell, the grooves aren't rubbing against each other. That was 1953, and the other labels followed. So definitely an early pressing on this. And the next one is another Jimmy Smith. This one with Lou Donaldson, the band, Rockin' the Boat. This one's a little cheaper, $10. And this one I think came out a little bit later. Yeah, this one just on the label says New York, USA. It doesn't have the West 53rd address, and but it's also got Okay, it's got the raised edges and the raised label area. See, a little bit later, I can't remember which pressing, if there's a first press or repress. Probably a repress because it's such a low catalog number. Speaking of organ players, another one of my favorites. On the Impulse label, it's just Shirley Scott, Queen of the Organ. And this one was recorded live at the Front Room in Newark, New Jersey, with Stanley Turrentine on sax. That was her husband. She was married to Stanley Turrentine, the great tenor sax player, who recorded a lot of stuff on I guess Prestige, no, Blue Note, and later on CTI, I think. Bob Cranshaw on bass, Otis Finch on drums. Yeah, another one of my favorite Hammond organ players. That was a little cheaper, $8, not bad. And don't really know this player too well. I've got a couple Gary Burton albums he's played on, but he just passed recently, so I figured I'd pick this one up, and it sounded like Derek Higgins was giving it good reviews here. Larry Coryell, Spaces, on the Vanguard Apostolic label. This one's in really nice shape for $8. With great band, John McLaughlin guitar, Chick Corea electric piano, Miroslav Vitus on bass, Billy Cobham on drums. Nice kind of early fusion. This one's really cool. This is the kind of stuff I really like to find. It's kind of a little more obscure. I mean, everybody knows Blue Note and Impulse and those guys. But there's a little more obscure on the United Artists label. It's the jazz combo from I Want to Live, the movie I Want to Live. Jerry Mulligan, Shelly Manne, and Art Farmer. Music composed and arranged by Johnny Mandel. So yeah, this is some good kind of West Coast jazz, but a little spicier with Jerry Mulligan and Art Farmer involved. Got some of the other usual West Coast players, Shelly Manne. Drums, Frank Rossellino trombone, Pete Jolly piano, Red Mitchell bass. Yeah, in really nice shape for $8. Cool. You know, I didn't think I'd find this in the record store. But that's how good this record store is. He finds all kinds of interesting stuff like this. On MGM Records, the Dick Hyman Trio swings. The Dick Hyman Trio swings. So Dick Hyman on organ and piano. It's a great name. Eddie Safransky on bass. Don Lamond on drums. Yeah, Dick Hyman recorded a lot of stuff on the Command label a little bit later, but this is an early recording here. I think this is earlier than his Command stuff. More of a straightforward jazz trio setting here. I actually kind of listened to it. I actually kind of like his stuff on Command a little better. But yeah, $3, just in beautiful shape. I mean, the cover is just kind of cool. That weird photographic effect they got there. Just in beautiful shape for $3. Wanted to check it out. Speaking of kind of weird stuff, unusual stuff you don't expect to find in the record store, this one's really cool. I don't think I have too much competition in town for people buying jazz, so it's kind of nice to go in the store and there's all kinds of neat stuff that hasn't been picked over. This is Pete Rugolo and his orchestra, Music for Hi-Fi Bugs, on the MRC label, division of Mercury. Yeah, Pete Rugolo was kind of a composer, arranger, sort of like Henry Mancini, Shorty Rogers. Does some really interesting kind of big band, experimental big band jazz sort of stuff. A lot of great players on here, of course. Dave Pell, Maynard Ferguson, Pete Candoli, Frank Rossellino, Shelly Manne on drums, of course, Joe Mondragon, Howard Roberts, yeah, Larry Bunker. Yeah, really cool stuff. Interesting stuff. That was $8, very fair price. And then kind kind of cut myself off there. Didn't want to spend too much money, but decided to dig through the dollar bins. It's always worth digging through the dollar bins, and found something really cool. The cover is pretty much it's an open book. It's split in half. It's just kind of the spine holding it together, but I don't really mind because the cover's still, artwork's intact. This is a Pacific Jazz record. It's Zen, the music of Fred Katz with Paul Horn and the Chico Hamilton Quintet. Pacific Jazz 1231. Yeah, so really interesting stuff. West Coast jazz stuff. Obviously it's on Pacific Jazz, one of the premier West Coast jazz labels, along with Contemporary. But Fred Katz played cello, classically and in jazz settings. But you got Chico Hamilton on drums, Paul Horn, alto sax, flute and clarinet, Johnny Paisano on guitar. Yeah, some other interesting guys. Carson Smith on bass. So the Chico Hamilton Quintet at the time. Chico Hamilton went through a lot of different bands. He always had different personnel, quality personnel in his bands. But yeah, this one's really interesting. The early Pacific Jazz. Got a very simple logo there on the label. I really like these old Pacific Jazz records. So that was it for the one record store, which is really my favorite in town because they deal with mostly used records, and the guy gets a lot of quality, just cool stuff in jazz and rock and really interesting stuff you don't see otherwise. And the other store in town, I don't go there a lot. It's probably about 95% brand new pressings, a lot of great stuff reissued, jazz, rock, indie rock, everything. But I like to get the original pressings if I can, even if they're a little scuffed up. So I don't really go in the shop much, but he does have a used section, and has some used jazz, and it's always worth looking through. And so I found a nice 2-album compilation of, I guess, live tracks by Wardell Gray, the great tenor sax player who unfortunately kind of died a miserable death, was found in the desert with a broken neck. But yeah, really an underrated sax player. At one point known, when he lived out in Los Angeles, known for having these great saxophone duets or battles with Dexter Gordon, and then moved back to the East Coast. But yeah, it's a nice, after he died, they put up 2 memorial albums on Prestige Records, and then this is kind of a twofer where they combine the two. So among the players here, you got Dexter Gordon, Art Farmer, Hampton Hawes, Clark Terry, Sonny Criss, Al Haig, Teddy Charles, Sonny Clark, blah blah blah, Roy Haynes on drums. Really cool double album set. Yeah, a lot of historic live recordings from all the way back in 1949 till 1953. Really cool stuff. Yeah, this is a radio station copy. You can see they put these stickers on to keep track of what dates they played it. But some of the tracks and stuff were mislabeled, and things were kind of screwed up. The quality control on this not so good. So you can kind of see. You can see there, but they kind of scribbled out some of the track listings on here, and even on the labels on the records, they kind of made some, scribbled out some tracks and relabeled it the correct thing. And this just came out later, another reissue, the same stuff, except 2 tracks were omitted from this, and a couple of alternative takes. It came out under the name, I think, Central Avenue. Basically the same stuff, same great Wardell Gray historic tracks, but a couple of different tracks, probably because of licensing issues, and I think that one probably has a little more accurate annotation on the inside. But either way, great stuff, underrated, kind of unknown, unsung hero, great tenor sax player. And then the other record I bought from this store, I mentioned Larry Coryell, And Gary Burton, this is another early Gary Burton album. Gary Burton Quartet in concert on RCA Victor. So it's Gary Burton on vibes, vibraphone, Larry Coryell on guitar, Steve Swallow on bass, and Bob Moses on drums. Some interesting stuff. Kind of modern jazzy. This one on the more modern RCA label here, but this is, I guess, a first pressing. I'm not used to seeing jazz on this label. Typically find stuff on the it's got the dog on the label. But yeah, this was, let's say $5. Yeah, $5. Not a bad price. There's something on the cover. It's kind of like almost like paint over spray. It's got a weird texture to it. It's not glossy, so I don't know what the deal is with that, but still looks good, and great music. So yeah, those are what I bought at the record stores here in town. Just kind of easing my way back into hitting the record stores. I think with this new job, I'm not going to have a whole lot of free time, especially not in the weekends. I have to work weekends, but you know, on the record show, I kind of blew my record budget for the next couple months, so it'll be a while before I'm back in the record stores. But you know, once the money starts rolling in and take care of some bills, I'll be back in the record stores again. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.